Yo, Still Mills, what's the deal, man? Nigga. Man, it was my son and not son, my nephew and brother's birthday yesterday. And we went to the trampoline park, Urban Air. We played dodgeball. We had to smack on the niggas in dodgeball. Crashed them. I was pretty much tapped out after that, man. Like usually when I go to Urban Air, I'm bouncing on the trampoline. I'm reliving my childhood. I'm having a ball. you know. And I went and I sat down for a minute after, we smacked on him in dodgeball. Then I went back and jumped again. And after that, I was like, yeah, you know what? The party was about over anyway. I was like, yeah, this a wrap for the kid. I went home, get on 2K, crashed the homie in 2K, like 5 games. In the middle of my last game, my son come downstairs and just decides to stand next to me and abide his time until I direct my attention to him and ask, boy, what you want? Why you just standing right there like that? He talking about his relos want to go play basketball at the park. I'm like, God damn. So now I gotta go and take them to the park so we can go play ball. Crashed the niggas at the court, then we went home and I was like, yo, I'm done. I'm all the way done. And I'm sitting here suffering today, man. Like, for real. It's time for me to get back in the gym. It's time for me to get back in the gym. You dig? That was a sign of that. Like, get up off your ass and get back to it, man. I remember when I want to say about 3 summers ago or some shit like that, man. I rolled my son's bike down the block and I could not make it back up because of how out of shape I was. That's no good, my man. So I'm about to be back in the gym very much so soon. So peep game, man. Let's get into this shit, man. And that is the last crescendo, man. That was an incredible card put on by his his excellency, man. That was an incredible card, man. I enjoyed it. I watched it. My eyes stayed glued to the TV. And we gonna talk about this shit, man. So let's get into it, man. First, we're gonna start at the top of the card, which was Joshua Buatsi and Callum Smith, man. That may have been the fight of the night. As far as as far as it being competitive, man. Bivol and Beterbiev, I think that's the most competitive bout. That was the most competitive bout on the card. But that fight right there was overly competitive, man. I was like, this shit is a bang fest. So I picked Callum Smith to win the fight, man. And I was rooting for him, man. And I've been telling people for the longest, man, and I still have people who struggle with this because, like, the minute you lose, and this is a byproduct of being the Floyd Mayweather era. If you lose, then that means your career is soiled and it ain't worth a damn. And you just need to retire, bro. You just lost. I mean, you can have a loss, and depending on the context that you put it in, it can make sense, man. But when you just completely become dismissive of an opponent's career and their worth to the division because they have a blemish on their record, I just think that's criminal if you ask me, and it's very immature because you're acting as if fighters don't lose. You know what I'm saying? Half of you niggas who's talking about he just lost and got your ass beat in the middle of the street a multitude of times to be talking about motherfuckers, he lost. Fighters lose when you fight at the highest level. You're going to have losses. Why? Because as I've stated before, there's only X amount of people on this planet that is even worthy to be in the ring with you. And if you're going to lose to somebody, you should lose to that nigga. Even when you're the overwhelming favorite in the fight. All right, cool. This might be the motherfucker to upset you. But it just, what adds insult to injury is the fact that his only 2 blemishes come from, legitimate all-time greats and pound-for-pound caliber fighters. And that is, that's what's been blowing me, man. So I was online, not necessarily online, but just hearing people's reasons as to why they thought Joshua Buatsi would be too much for Callum Smith. He's the younger, fresher fighter. He has no losses. We don't know how much Callum Smith has left in the gas tank. Now, mind you, he's only been on the floor one time, and that was with Artur Beterbiev. And there's no other. Okay, who else didn't touch earth against Artur Beterbiev? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense that the mindset that you guys There it is that you motherfuckers try to, come with, man. Joe Smith Jr. got annihilated in 2 rounds, and then he's had what 2 fights since then. One of them being with Zerto at cruiserweight, man. So I think it's ridiculous, man. So that has been their sentiment for the longest, man. And I was like, yo, y'all keep talking about Joshua Buatsi, but him being the younger and fresher fighter, but what y'all aren't addressing is the fact that he's found his way out of title contention. He turned, he turned the other cheek to a Bivol fight. That says a lot. He hasn't fought anybody. He hasn't fought no champions, man, as opposed to Callum Smith, who's been there, done that. And not just fought champions, but was a champion. He was lineal at 168 pounds. Up until Canelo came up there, he was the #1 rated super middleweight. So why is it that, like, why does all that shit go to the wayside? Because he lost to Canelo? You dig? So in the fight, man, it kind of went how I figured it would, man. Joshua Buatsi is just he's not a busy fighter. He's a dude who operates off the counter. Now there are moments where he could, like, I've seen him step into the fray and get busy. I've seen him do that with Willie Hutchinson, man. But that's just not necessarily his fighting identity. He's a dude who likes to control distance or stay at a distance to where he can pick you off from the outside. Draw your lead hand out and capitalize once you know what I'm saying, once you miss him. He evades the shot and can't make, punishes for you for, missing the shot, make you miss, make you pay. But Callum Smith has that at his disposal as well. And on top of that, he's busy. He's busy. It was a multitude of times in the fight where Joshua Buatsi is, all right, he'll throw one jab. He'll answer a jab, he'll answer Callum Smith's 3 and 4 jabs with one single jab. And that right there, I'm like, yo, he was just outworking him. He was just outworking him. And then when he would try to get busy, cuff up and come behind the high guard and step into the, to the fray, Callum Smith was catching him with the left hooks, man. The double left hooks upstairs, upstairs, downstairs, downstairs, upstairs, just switching the pattern of the left hooks that was coming. I'm like, yo, this dude is doing really good work. He's doing really, really good work. And the pace that they, like, I seen a card that said about 9-3 or some shit like that, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not even mad at that card. I'm not mad at that score because of the, his work rate. I'm like, this dude is getting completely outworked, and he was doing good work, man. But even in that round where Joshua Buatsi hurt him with that counter left hook, when Callum dipped to the body, he still was getting outworked. He got outworked the entirety of that round, and he got hurt in that round. So, like, that may arguably, I don't think that was his best round, because his best rounds came around, like 10 and 11. I think those were some of his best rounds, man. But I saw no issue with a 9-3 scorecard. I didn't. But even in those rounds, it was still a competitive fight. You dig? Joshua Buatsi's jab, like, he had a really damaging jab, man. He cut Callum Smith with the jab. He cut Callum Smith, and that's a testament to where, you always have to protect yourself at all times. You dig? And I think this is why the speed bag is so important in the gym. Building up that endurance in your arm and building up that muscle in your arm to where you keep your hands, on the speed bag, you're keeping your hands in punching position to keep the rhythm of the bag going, so you can just hit the bag consistently without any hiccups. But the thing is, you have to keep your hands or your arm, your hands in a certain position as to where you'll be ready to hit the bag, to keep the bag in rhythm. And you don't keep your hands right here when you hit the speed bag. You're keeping your hands right here, so you're keeping your hands a little bit more elevated. And that burns and wears on your arms, man, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing, to keeping your hands up, man. I think, fighters really need to get on the speed bag and go for rounds and 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 rounds on the speed bag. I'm not saying that they don't, but I'm just saying, like, this, I've seen people say the speed bag isn't as important, and it's not as important as other entrapments in the gym. But I feel like that's an attribute that can add to your, to your arsenal as far as, the speed bag is concerned. Just keeping your hands up, because you do get tired when you get throwing punches and everything like that, man, and defending yourself. Whether you're defending yourself literally or fending somebody off of you, your arms are gonna get tired. So when you have that, you have the ability to where your arms don't get tired. They're always, you're always holding the phone. I think the speed bag really comes into play for that. So, but Callum Smith just kept dropping his hands. He would drop his hands, and he'd get caught on the counters as well. And sometimes Joshua Buatsi would lead with the jab. he lead with the jab, but it was never a double jab. It was never that, man. As opposed to Callum Smith's jab, stab jabbing him to the body, coming back up top with the jab. He was just doing real good work. He was just doing real good work, man. Really good work. And I think them fighting at that pace, you saw both of them, begin to, get exhausted. They started, they started breathing through their mouths, and now that's when it's like, all right, we in the trenches right now, man. So who won it the most? And I think that's where Callum Smith really started shining at as well, because he's normally not a dude. Just his fighting identity isn't fighting in the pocket, unless he's the dude who's pressing the action. If I got your back against the ropes and I'm imposing my will on you, then all right, yeah, we in the pocket with it. You dig? Because it's a scenario that I'm creating. It's not a scenario that you're creating. But even in that fight, he showed resilience. Why? Because he's starting to find discomfort he's starting to find comfort in discomfort. You know what I'm saying? He's starting to find being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, because when fighters usually crowd him, man, he kind of starts, unraveling. And Joshua Buatsi started crowding him to the point where I'm like, yo, you got to get off the rope. You got to get off the rope. Get off the rope. You dig? And even with him being on the rope, he's launching the uppercuts up the middle. You dig? And the double left hooks. I noticed that. I saw that more than I saw the catch and shoot counter left hook. I saw that more. And him doing, investing to the body early on, man, putting that left hook in his liver, man, just bow. You seen him every time he landed. Joshua Buatsi would be grimacing. I'm like, yeah, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. I got tired of people talking like this dude is trash, man. I don't like that, man. I don't, because he lost. I don't like, oh man, he's a Euro bum. He's a Euro bum. He's a Euro bum. Canelo ain't fought nothing but Euro bums. And I'm like, these divisions are usually catered to these to the European circuit, man. You can't name me 5 fighters that that Andre Ward fought as a super middleweight or light heavyweight. You can't. You can't. This ain't like it's not like welterweight and maybe even super or junior middleweight or 135 pounds. It's, those are not the divisions that we're prominent in up there. By and large, especially in the now. So I was rooting for him, and I wanted him to win, and he came out. He came out victorious, man. The counter right hook was there. We call it the step back at my gym, but the pull counter was there all night. The pull counter was there all night, man. And when they kind of started exhausting themselves, that's when you started to see Joshua Buatsi really come on, because he sensed that, Callum Smith is tired. I'm tired, but Callum Smith is just as tired. And Callum Smith, just him naturally doing more work, landing more, being busier. I think, his stamina was a lot more depleted than Joshua Buatsi, who was taking a lot of punishment and tried to be active and tried to impose his will. I think he was just a little bit fresher in those 2 rounds, in rounds 10 and rounds 11, I want to say. But in the 12th, where it was time for him to really dig deep and get back on the jab, use his lateral movement, use his height to his advantage, he came out victorious. Man. And the dude is good. He's good in the clinch, man. And he has good defense as well. You just don't know it because it's not super flashy, man. Like his upper body movement is not as cat-like as someone like when I remember watching Danny Jacobs versus Gabe Rosado, and how he was getting to the side of Gabe Rosado's straight shots. I was like, yo, this dude is just fast, like cat-like reflexes. That's not Callum Smith's game, man. It's timing with Callum Smith, offensively and defensively. It's timing. He's gonna time your shots, and he's gonna get to the side. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna get to the side of the shot. You'll think the shot is going to land because of how slow he's moving with his upper body, but in all actuality, he's getting, it's a well-timed slip. It's a well-timed slip. He's getting up under, weaving up under hooks and everything, man. Like, the dude is defensively competent, man. And Buddy McGurk is really doing, working wonders for him. He's working wonders for him, man. So I feel like this was a damn good win for him. It's possibly his best win. I'd say this is his best win. That was a damn good win. Because there was a lot of people counting him out. Because he's a Euro bum. Oh, he's done. Better be it. All right, cool. That sounds good. Callum Smith's losses are better than Joshua Buatsi's wins. That would include Dan Aziz. That would include Craig Spider Richards. That would include Willie Hutchinson. Facts. So I'm saying, man, like, put some respect on this dude's name. Put some respect on this dude's name. And a fight that I've been calling for some time. And it took me a minute to really come to the, like, why didn't David been not, because I would always say, how come he didn't fight none of them dudes down there or whatever, man. But it really started dawning on me once David Benavidez became a light heavyweight. I'm like, well, why can't these two cats get in the ring and mix it up? And I've been making it my business to call for that fight for some time now, for probably about a month or so. And I remember I had some suck ass nigga. I can't stand when a motherfucker get on, they kind of want to try to impose what you want to say, their professional experience or whatever on you, like as if that's supposed to be a factor to me or some shit like that. I don't have any pro bouts. And as of now, I have no amateur bouts. That's going to change though. That's definitely going to change really soon. This year, that's going to change. But that doesn't mean anything, because it's still like, let's have a conversation. All that extra shit ain't about nothing to me. That shit is corny if we being real. You dig? Like, fuck out of here, man. So I'm just, I'm looking, and I'm watching this dude, and he's like trying to ostracize me because I'm asking for that fight. And I'm like, yo, that's a good fight. David Benavidez and Callum Smith. Oh man, who's asking for it? I want to know what your credentials is if you asking for that. And I'm like, why is it a bad fight? Tell me why that's a bad fight. And nobody has any answers. And the answers that people come with, the eye test, and I just don't see it from Callum Smith. And I'm like, well, what exactly aren't you seeing? What exactly aren't you seeing? And then what they tell me they don't see in Callum Smith is everything that David Benavidez doesn't have in his repertoire as well. It's real childish, man. So I was really overjoyed to hear one of the announcers. I don't know which one it was. Was it Darren? I don't know which announcer it was. Or not announcer, but just a commentator in between fights. And it was like, yo, I would love, if we can't get Benavidez versus Beterbiev, let's get him versus Callum Smith. Because that's a damn good fight. That's a damn good fight. And the more I speak on it, for whatever reason, it's coming into reality. I'm on Nuke's channel calling for that fight. And before that, I was on these Facebook spaces asking for that fight as well. That's a damn good fight. That's a damn good fight. That's a damn good fight. So why not make that happen? I think that's a fight that should, that we should be looking forward to getting, if we being real, man, because David Benavidez ain't doing at this point in time. It would behoove him to move up to cruiserweight to fight Zerto or anything like that, or Jake Paul, which we won't even talk about, because you gotta keep in mind, if you jump up there, you may not be able to comfortably jump back down. That may put extra strength or stress on your body. So why not just stay in the division, stay acclimated to the division, and fight other contenders in the division? You dig? I don't like the fact that a lot of these fighters, when it comes to David in particular, I don't like that a lot of these fighters feel like, a lot of these fans feel like it's disrespectful and it's beneath David to mention his name amongst other European fighters. I don't like that at all, because I think that's childish. I think that's real childish. I think that's real, especially when they're accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Nobody called for David to fight Billy Joe Saunders. Nobody called for him to fight Callum Smith, because let them tell it, they're Euro bums. They're not worthy of gracing. They're not worthy of David gracing them with his presence. You dig? I think that's real childish and stupid. So I'd love to see that fight happen, and we don't need to wait to no fucking. Y'all don't need to take a year off. Y'all don't need to take a year off, man. Callum Smith stayed busy. He fought twice last year. He fought late last year after the Beterbiev loss. He fought twice. He fought twice last year. There's no reason for y'all to wait. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason for y'all to just chill up on the shelf. Get in there and run it right now. Get in there and line that shit up right now, my nigga. Like, make it happen. Make it happen. And if you can't get Benavidez, which I think that's the fight that a lot of people are claiming, like, yo, that's a bang fest right there, because it is. So it's a damn good fight. Let's see if it can. Let's make it happen. Your name doesn't have to be mentioned with only the great, or with only the the champions in the division, because neither one of y'all are champions. Y'all are both contenders right now. You're both one division. Y'all caught a belt in one division. You're not. Callum Smith isn't beneath David Benavidez. He's not. So let's see if we can get them two in the ring, and you know what I'm saying, to lock horns. I think that's a damn good fight, man. And I'd look forward to that fight, and I think everybody else would. So shout out to Callum Smith. You did your shit this weekend. And shout out to Joshua Buatsi, because despite the experience that he didn't have going into that fight, he still made it a competitive bout. He still pushed Callum Smith to exhaustion. He cut him over the eye, proving that he's just as big of a puncher as Callum Smith is in the division. Or at least a respectable punch. I mean, it was a single shot that they got hit with. It was a single shot, and the right shot placed in the right spot. Yeah, bro, you're gonna get sliced open. And he hurt Callum Smith a couple of times as well. Yeah, I would like to say that. Joshua Buatsi was, he's just as big of a puncher as Callum Smith. I don't know, even though that's not necessarily his forte. It is what it is. Whatever the fuck ever, man. Whatever the fuck ever. But they're both respectable punchers. I think Callum Smith I don't know. Callum Smith has two, about in 5 fights up there, he caught 3 bodies. Just keep that in mind, man. So I would like to see not Buatsi, but Benavidez and Callum Smith get in the ring and run it. Because neither one of y'all are next for the win, for better be even before, because the trilogy is up. So why not run it? You did food for thought, or rather mind wine, like my nigga Nas said, man. And as far as Joshua Buatsi goes, I think him and David Morrell, because the two of them are coming off of losses, that's a dope fight. That's a dope fight. That's a real dope fight. So why not line that up? There's no reason for y'all to take a year off and go inactive or whatever to lick your wounds because you're so devastated that no, it's early February. You lost on the Saudi card. A lot of niggas is losing they owe on them Saudi cards. That is the Roman Coliseum of boxing right there, the official Roman Coliseum of boxing. They're going to put your ass in there with multiple fighters. They're going to put you in there with not multiple fighters, but they're going to make multiple fights that are 50-50 fights. Because they understand the consumer wants to see competitive bouts. Niggas is tired of this 70-30, 60-40 shit. We want to be like, we want the intrigue. We want to be like, man, I don't know who will win that fight. So Joshua Buatsi versus David Morrell. I like that since both of them are coming off of losses. Let's do the damn thing, man. Fuck all this waiting around. Let's get them two in the ring. Let's line that up. And on the next Saudi card, next Riyadh season card. Riyadh season is killing shit, man. They're killing shit right now, bro. So shout out to them. That's a fight that I would love to see, man. David Benavidez versus Callum Smith and Joshua Buatsi versus David Morrell. There's no reason why, there's no excuse as to why them fights couldn't happen, and all of them can run that shit with Anthony Yarde next. Like, heavyweight is a stacked and fun division, man, and I'm loving every minute of it. So shout out to Callum Smith. I knew you would win. You got my support. Shout out to Joshua Buatsi. This ain't the end of the road because you lost, my man. Let's get back to it and get to the show and continue to build y'all legacies, man. I'm out of yo. Deuces.